What is up? We are back for another episode of the No BS Golf Show. Brad Thomas here with Chris Mills. And yes, of course, we have a great special guest. But before we get into that, Chris, how was your tournament last week?
Dude, last week was great, and I think it was great for you as well. It started off with a bang, as it has been so far this year. We hit our 8th first round leader of the year, and we're just scraping into May, which is insane. Keith Mitchell gets it done for us again, and obviously made me look like a bit of a legend as well because I posted one pick on Instagram on Thursday morning. Keith Mitchell first round plus 6,000. So everybody comes out of the woodworks, and obviously, the goat messages come in, and then 2 days later, everybody hates you. So I'll ride that high as long as I possibly can.
What's funny about I hitting Keith Mitchell as well, number 8 for me, technically number 9, but you know, when you have 2 on the same card, that doesn't count for 2, right?
Yeah,
What's funny about Keith Mitchell for me was like yours, you did a 1-man card. I did a 3-man card. And so I risked a little bit more on Keith Mitchell. So the unit return was higher. And I just didn't feel like I needed to add a bunch of guys. And I think this week's gonna be pretty similar. I'll probably have a 4-man card, which gives me I don't ever like when I bet my first round leaders or bet my outrights, I'm never like, well, my card's smaller. I'm only gonna risk X amount of money per guy.
yeah,
If I feel like the guy has value, I'm gonna put as much money as I think necessary. And that helped me a lot with Keith Mitchell last week. I was pissed we lost the 2 units on Patrick Cantlay and the 3-ball with the tie, but I'm fine. I'm fine with that. My card was small. Everything was really small. So picking up the units on Keith Mitchell was enough to make it a successful CJ Cup for me.
yeah. It was good. I mean, we talked about this last week. A signature event when you only have 70 players, I feel like they misprice a lot of these first round guys.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you look at a field this week, for sure, when there's 140 plus guys, a huge field, all these guys can golf.
Yep.
Right. Anybody can go low. And when you inflate it that much, it's that much harder, but the odds don't necessarily fluctuate. That's why, in these signature events, when there's only 70 guys, I
Yep.
mean, the value is certainly there, especially when you've a guy who's done it 3 times prior in the year at plus 6,000. It was a no brainer. So it's funny enough. We'll get into it, but this week he still doesn't have any respect
No.
after doing it again last week. It makes no sense, but it is what it is. And yeah, the Cantley one hurt for sure. I think there was a mispriced line there.
Yeah.
Typical Cantley fashion. When I put money on him, that's what happens. Comes out the following day, has a great Sunday. And I know our guest is loving that with what happens. So I'm sure he'll get into that a little bit.
Yeah, speaking of our guests, let's bring in our guest, BeatinTheBookie. You can find him on X at BeatinTheBookie. My guy, thank you for joining the show again. How are things going?
Pretty good. And congrats on the Keith Mitchell. I was looking at Keith Mitchell and I was like, you know what? There's no way he does it again.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he did. And I can't lay first round, but hit a nice max play on can't lay minus 120 for a top 20. And that's another thing you were talking about with the 70 golfers when you can get can't lay at minus 120 for a top 20 with that field. I mean, it's a lot of value there. So yeah, I mean, it was a solid week.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I feel like the tournament was right there for Patrick Cantlay, but
It
it's like
was.
a few holes do him in every week, like this missed 3-footers. It just does him in. And, we saw Shane Lowry choke again, where Shane Lowry is unbettable for me now to win. It's like
Yeah.
Yep.
Tommy Fleetwood territory right there. And also, I canceled a golfer this past week, and Corey Connors, he's dead to me, so I'll never bet him again unless it's a fade. So it was a fun week.
That's funny about Shane Lowry. My first model I built from last week had Shane Lowry number 1, and I was like, I either got to rebuild this model or I just got to fade it completely because I just can't take Shane Lowry. There have been too many times where he's been in contention or had the lead coming down the stretch, and he just ghosts, vanish. He gets sick to his stomach. Had it
Yeah.
not been for Rory McIlroy in the team event, he probably would have done the exact same thing.
Oh,
I
for
mean,
sure.
he won the Open in 2019, right? It's technically not a PGA Tour event, right? And that was overseas. He hasn't won an individual event since 2015,
Yeah.
and I honestly don't see it changing. He's the type of guy where if I see him on the top of the board, and I hope he has a big lead, that's great because I'm going to bet those chasers for serious value.
Dude, speaking of which, I did the same thing. I saw him at the top of the board, And I was like, all right, well, this is a chance to get in on JT. JT didn't get the
Me too.
job done, but
Me
I
too.
just had that same thought. I was like,
Yeah.
no way is Shane Lowry winning this tournament.
Yeah,
Well,
we
let's
finished
talk.
we finished off the week really well with a plus 2,000 matchup parlay as well.
Oh,
Our
yeah.
last leg was Sepp Straka 2-ball over Shane Lowry, and it did come down. Shane again, typical bad, just a bad shot. A little bit of a pull in the par 3 16th, doesn't get up and down, misses from 6 feet, and then he 3 putts 18, so we win easily. But yeah, I was a little bit closer than I thought. I thought Sepp would pull away. But I was happy for Sepp to get another victory. A little
Two
bit of
on
a
the
dark
season.
horse this week.
2 on the season. Sepp Straka, his odds were disrespectful as well.
Yeah,
Plus 4,500. If I didn't have like a top heavy card, like you can't go like Jordan
yeah,
Spieth. Uh, I went 3 guys in like the 20s to 30s. I couldn't go any further, but
yeah,
I would have definitely looked at my guy Sepp, bet him a lot. Let's talk about the PGA Championship, right? Quail Hollow. I know everyone's going to be really excited because we're going to a tournament in a course that we're really familiar with, that should play pretty fun, and that the big dogs really kind of dominate. I'll give a quick rundown of the course. Charlotte, North Carolina's Quail Hollow, par 71, 7,626 yards. It only has what, 3 par 5s, 4 par 3s. So a lot of par 4s playing here. Greens are Poa Trivialis overseed, as well as the approach areas. Tees, fairways, rough. We're on ryegrass overseed. Green sizes, 6,500 yards, square feet, excuse me, 6,500 square feet on the green sizes there. And this course has 61 bunkers. So it's down from last week, which was 120. Fairways, moderately sized, 26 acres of fairways. And there's 4 water hazards. 7 holes have water hazards in play. Last PGA Championship that was held here was in 2017. So defending champion of that tournament is Mr. Justin Thomas. Anything you guys want to add to the course breakdown?
I
What you're
mean,
looking for? Anything around along those
I
lines?
I no, I think when people, this is different obviously than Augusta National, or I think people put too much into like past PGA Championship finishes, like the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Obviously when it's at Quail Hollow, that means absolutely nothing, right? So I just look at their past history at Quail Hollow, right? Because the past PGA Championships, if it's not at this course, it's just meaningless, right? So I just been looking for players who have had success here, right? And it's
Yep.
it's kind of crazy that Scotty Scheffler is the odds-on favorite, and he's never played a tournament here, stroke play, right? So
Yep.
um, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I don't. We're not going to see a winner this week that comes out of nowhere, right? You're not going to see like Russell Henley. You're not going to see like a Andrew Novak, win this week. It's going to be one of the big boys.
Yep.
And if you put a gun to my head, you know, I'm not betting against Rory McIlroy here, who a guy who's won it 4 times and has, you know,
yeah.
Yeah. I know that the sports books aren't going to, at least Hard Rock's not going to boost Rory again after last week. A couple things that I'm looking for this week. Driving distance. This is a beast course. I think it's the number
Yep.
one course that correlates for driving distance. Approach play is really important. A lot of approach shots, 200 yards plus, and a lot of par 4s, 400 yards plus. Those are like the biggest metrics. Of course. Oh, and Rob talked about it. Of course history is really, really important at this course. So those are my key metrics that I'm using this week.
Yeah, I mean, for the people who are listening who are maybe new to golf, when we're talking about Quail Hollow, this is where they've been playing the Wells Fargo for previous years.
Yep.
The previous PGA championship that was held here was in 2017. That's when Justin Thomas won his first PGA. Since then, he's tacked on another PGA. But when we're talking about course history, that's ultimately the history that we have. And the Scotty Scheffler situation, he only played here at, what was it, President's Cup, I believe.
yeah,
Team format, wasn't stroke play, no real experience at this event. I do think that Scotty is getting, the sport books are shorting him a little bit, as we said offline, because of that -31, that 31 under that he shot 2 weeks ago. At any course, regardless if it's soft, if it's easy, going 31 under in a tournament and winning by, what do you win, by 9, by 8, by
Yeah.
9?
Yeah,
That's
8.
still insane, right? So the books are scared. They're not going to lose their shirt to Scotty regardless of that. But I would say that that number is still probably a little bit short. And, he won't be on my card for sure.
Yeah, no, Scotty's not gonna be on my card. Someone had asked me earlier today, any interest in Rory and Scotty at their prices, and I mean, I'll talk about this in a little bit, but it's just hard for me to be like, I gotta bet Rory and Scotty or Rory and Scotty, and then go a little bit further down the board. Um, Rory, speaking of which, we'll get into the favorites here, but Rory's number is probably the most enticing out of the two, given his history here. The dude's just absolutely beast here, and already's got that kind of monkey off his back, right? Like he won the career Grand Slam, completed it. Now he can go into majors and just kind of go in F-it mode and just go play. Justin Thomas talked about something that I thought was pretty compelling for Rory's case of why he plays so well here is like, you just hit your driver, hit as far as you can, and then figure everything else out, right? And that's like the strategy for this golf course. A couple holes were lengthened. The greens and bunkers were redone. So you'll have firmer greens here, newer sand. It's 2 years. So not entirely new, but any golfer who plays golf knows 2-year-old greens are still going to be pretty bouncy. They're not going to hold lower approach shots as well. Let's get into so we're gonna go the 400 range, the favorites to the plus 4,000. We have Scotty Scheffler as the favorite, co-favorite on FanDuel with Rory McIlroy at plus 450, Bryson, Rom, Thomas, all the way down to Mr. Patrick Cantlay. So we talked about Rory McIlroy. Let's talk about Bryson DeChambeau, and I'll start with you, Rob. What are your kind of thoughts on him? He was as high as plus 2,400 back at the beginning of the season to win this tournament. Now plus 700. Is he a number that interests you, or are you gonna kinda stay away?
He's plus 950 right now on DraftKings.
950.
Look, Bryson, he's one of those golfers that starts out hot, right? Like I don't like the plus 950 to win, right? Like it's just a little too low. You have to go through too much to get there, right? Like Rory, you have to go through too much for a plus 500 cash, right?
Yep.
Or you can just bet the first round. I'd rather just for these guys, I'm just betting the first round, like Rory plus 1600 first round leader, DeChambeau plus 2200, right? If they don't start out hot, like when Rory and DeChambeau play well at majors, they start out hot, right? And if Rory or DeChambeau doesn't start out hot, you can pick up a better outright number after the first round, right? So
Yep.
my thoughts for DeChambeau, I mean, he's been playing great. He won Live Korea. Um, and Bryson is like a guy who like just wants to win, right? He's like addicted to winning, right? Whereas like I think he's a lot different than most live golfers. Like at the end of the day, like a live tournament, like Live Korea, right? Like it's not like prestigious, right? Like you're playing for a paycheck basically, right? There's no history.
Yep.
Whereas I think Bryson's playing to win, right? I don't think the money. I don't really think Bryson really cares much about the money. I like he just wants to play to win. He's super competitive, and I think he's just driven right now from obviously losing to Rory in the final round of the Masters, faltering down the stretch. He kind of wants to prove that he's right up there. So I mean, if you had to take two golfers right now who are the three golfers who are the best in the world, clearly hands down. I mean, it's Scotty, Rory, and Bryson, right? They've proven themselves at the majors the past year. So I
Yep.
wouldn't be surprised if it's a three-man race coming down to the end. And I hope I'm a big Bryson fan, so I hope he can get it done. I mean, because he's very personable. And every major Bryson wins, it just makes it closer to the PJ and Live merging, right?
Yes.
Because they need that. So I hope Bryson can take it down.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
so
mean,
much go ahead.
for me, I think, and we've discussed this previously on other shows, is Bryson is a popular pick. Right now, he's got a very different demographic following him and liking him than your traditional golf follower, right? He's got the YouTube brand. He's got a lot of different eyes on social media, and I think that he's dropped to this number. A lot of it because of his play, but a lot of it too is just because it's popular and people are like, "Oh, I want Bryce to win," right? It's an emotional pick, and I agree with you, Rob. I think it's a little bit low. Granted, he did win a U.S. Open. He looked really good. But he also isn't competing every week with the best players. For me, it is a little bit low, but I would not be surprised to see him there on Sunday, given how he hits the ball off the tee.
Yep.
So,
You know, for me, I looked at the Hard Rock Insurance bet, and there were only really 2 golfers, that I kind of wanted to take. in that insurance bet, and that would be between Rory and Bryson. I went with Bryson at plus 700 as my insurance bet. Just feel like if he finishes top five, cool. I get my 250 free play, 500 free play, whatever your limits are there. But if you don't have Hard Rock and you want, oh my gosh, I freaking knew it. I literally posted this bet in my channel and it just got crushed like in real time. That's funny. um, all right, we'll talk about it at a different price. There was Bryson DeChambeau, winner without Scotty, and without Rory, is the same price on BetMGM at plus 700. Now it's plus 650. Sorry, I wanted the channel to get it first, but plus 650 is the same price as Hard Rock, right? So if you eliminate those two guys, you don't get the insurance, but you still want to be kind of in this Bryson mode. Just think about the extra value they're giving. I think that line should be plus 500, maybe plus 600. You're getting at a little bit of better price there. Bryson kind of fits everything that you want to look for at a course where, you want to hit it long. You want to have major experience. You want to be a guy who can excel at those 200 to 225 approach shots. It's just really like if I didn't have the insurance bet or I didn't get extreme value on the winner without, I'd probably have to pass on him,
Yeah.
just because of his price, right? And for me, I just can't be the guy who knows someone's at plus 2,400, plus 2,500 in the futures market, or even last week at plus 1,800. I just can't be there and give him an official bet. A guy that I think one of us here, multiple of us might be on. We need to talk about winner of the 2017 PGA Championship, Justin Thomas. His number's kind of all over the place, as low as 16-1. I've seen him as high now as 20-1. Chris, talk to me about Justin Thomas.
Yeah, he's on my card. He's my guy. And I haven't been a Thomas guy, but we said it on this show 2 months ago that he was going to win this year,
Yeah,
and he did it at RBC. It was an emotional win. You could see it, you could feel it, right? He wasn't sure if it was going to happen again. Again, monkey off his back as well. And he's been a lot lower than that in other tournaments this year. And here's a guy coming back to a tournament where he's won, where he has that course history, and he's playing extremely well. Did we forget that he just tied for second last week? And somehow
yeah,
his number, it seems like it's increased to plus 2,000. He hits the ball well off the tee, right? He can hit it left, he can hit it right. He draws the ball, he fades the ball. His irons are incredible. And I think that if he can keep his putting clean, he can avoid those three putts. His short game is super, super strong. And his game it molds to this course. So if you look at a guy with amazing course history, granted it's Rory, right? He's the flash off the tee. But at 5 times the odds, you can get Justin Thomas at plus 2,000. I mean, I'm going to take that all day. I'm not going to wait. Normally, I'd like, for favorites, I tend to wait. But it's, similar to what Rob said. If Justin Thomas is going to be there, he tends to start well. So he's
Yeah.
a guy where if he goes through and he birdies the first hole, or he's -1 through 3, he's going to drop to 10-1, right? He's going to cut in half real quick, and he's never going to go back to that number. So he's one of those guys that I will take pre-tournament and fully expect him to be there on Sunday.
I just think it's mind-boggling that he's 22-1 to win, and John Rahm has shorter odds.
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, it's just Justin Thomas. I mean, he's playing just as well as anybody right now. He's right there every week. Like
Yep.
Brad said earlier. I pretty much. I mean, I knew Shane Lowry wasn't going to hang on last Sunday, so I took Justin Thomas plus 600. I think the final round. But he's playing great golf, and he's got all the confidence. The confidence is what he lacked. The last couple of years, right? And he's finally got that back, and he's walking into the PGA Championship with a little bit of cockiness, right? Because he won the last time I was here. So, I think when you add all those together, I think JT at like 22-1. Yeah, I'd feel much better laying 1,000 to win 22,000 on JT than 1,000 to win 5,000 on Rory, right? So,
yep.
I think it's a much better bet for JT.
Chris talked about JT's putting. Gainer and on the putting greens in 5 straight events. I know he had brought up, Xander Schauffele helping him out a lot, and basically said he was, too mechanical, too robotic. Basically called it pro-am putting, where of course he wants to make it. Like everyone wants to make those putts, but sometimes he was overreading. sometimes trying to use too much form and not feeling the putt, and it's kind of replicated itself into his game. I'm gonna be on Justin Thomas. I just thought 20 to 1 was a price that you just can't pass up on him, especially with the guys in the field. Let's talk about a guy who odds I thought were a little bit lower. Not that I think they aren't deserved, but I was expecting him to be closer to that 18 to 1 mark. Was Lubick Oberg? Are you guys have any interest in betting him, or is he just kind of a fadeaway with the state of his game?
Not interested. I mean, he's just way too short of odds, right? Like
Yep.
the course history, what's he really done here? Um, he seems to like put together a good round, opening round. He seems to be a good opening round golfer the last few weeks, and just kind of dies on the weekends, right? Like, I don't know
Yep.
what happens,
Mhm.
but he mentally falls apart. So I really have no interest in him, at all. Someone I was shocked to see, odds, 22 to 1, Xander.
Yeah.
I mean, Xander back to back runner up here,
Yep.
in 2024, 2023. Um, Obviously major champion last year, right? Like PGA champion last year. Um, and we're starting to see Xander, get healthy. He started out the season terribly, coming off injury. Probably was still injured, right? Even at the Masters,
Yep.
still injured. He's starting to put it together. I think Xander's a guy who has just as good of a chance as anybody at winning here. So I'm looking forward to Xander especially.
You know what's great about Xander? Um, I try to find little nuggets in guys. I talked about Xander a little bit with the Discord here earlier when his number was 24 to 1. Um, you have to find something where these golfers can take something with them to the next week. Xander was phenomenal off the tee in the fourth round at the Truist Championship. He gained 1.66 strokes off the tee. And that had been something that he had been fighting since returning. And he was been transparent about it, where when you're injured, golf club companies always want to change the models, but when you're injured, you can't hit or test out the different club heads, and that was something he was kind of battling with. I mean, 2 rounds in a row, he was sharp off the tee. Now he's coming to a tournament that he literally won and knows a different course, but has also played well at this course. I think he went toe to toe with Rory McIlroy when it was at Wells Fargo, and this price is another price I just think is really weird. Like, we're giving John Rahm a ton of respect at 18 to 1, where I don't think it's quite warranted. We're giving Colin Morikawa a lot of respect at 20 to 1, where I don't think it's warranted. Like, Colin Morikawa, this is a big boy track for Morikawa. Doesn't have good course history here either. Ludwig, there's some stinkiness in his game. I would rather Ludwig have to play a tree line Parkland style course that was like 7,300, where anyone can compete there, but having the extra length and accuracy off the tee really makes you dynamic. Not a long course that's really that requires just length. So I don't see any upside there. Let's move over to the 4,000 about 8,000 range. Top of the list, Mr. Patrick Cantlay. I'm not going to go down here, but I want to talk about Patrick Cantlay. I used my free bet on Patrick Cantlay. The books and everything give you all these promotions for these tournaments. 40 to 1 on a guy who has just been blistering it with his irons, gained almost 6 strokes on approach at Truist, and gained what, 5 at Valero. He's just been a massive gainer. But what I really like, and I was wondering if this would happen on the bent grass greens, would he go out there and putt well? Putted like shit 3 rounds in a row, and then goes in round 4 and really gives it a charge,
Mhm.
gains over 3 strokes on the greens. I thought 40 to 1 on Cantlay. This course is gonna be demanding, right? You're gonna be a demanded with your second shot from deep, and I think Cantlay is a good option at that number.
Yeah, I love that. Obviously, I was following Cantley pretty closely on the Saturday because I had him
Yep.
in the matchup. But when you're three putting from 18 feet, I mean, that's just unacceptable.
My
I mean, you're
God.
just getting smoked to the field. But you know
That
what?
3 putt was atrocious. He put it 5 feet past the cup, but not even past the cup where he gave himself a chance. He putted on the wrong side of the cup.
Yeah, yeah, never even touched the hole or even looked at it.
Yep.
He Cantley's a weird one because he really doesn't have very good history in majors in general.
Yep.
So for me, not to mention I can't stand him. I'll never bet Cantley. If he wins, good for him. But the shoe shuffle on the greens, the time he takes, the nowhere in the hat thing. He's like the opposite of Bryson. Like, I cheer for Bryson because I like Bryson. Like, I don't like Cantlay. I'm sure he's a very nice gentleman, goes on vacations with Xander and all that stuff. Good for him. But when it comes to cheering for a guy, like I don't want to cheer for him. So like he's never going to make my card, but I understand where you're coming from, Brad, and I think there's value there. In that
Yeah.
range of plus 4,000 to plus 8,000, we've already touched on him quickly earlier, and we've discussed guys who continue to be disrespected. So we have a guy who's won twice this year, who's a top 20 machine, which he'll be my top 20 prop for sure this week. But how is Sepp Straka plus 7,000 to win the PGA? Explain that to me. Like, it doesn't make any sense. He just beat everybody other than Scotty last week, and the only people you're adding are former champions and live players, and you're still putting him priced at plus 7,000. To me, that is significant value. Like, I'm just trying to understand, is it a trap bet? Is he going to be tired? People going back to back? I don't know. I just figure he's got all the confidence in the world. He has he's playing for free, essentially. He's set. He's going to be, on the Ryder Cup team. Like, life is good for Sepp Straka. I just think that's really high odds.
Yeah, another guy who's disrespected, I think, who continues to be disrespected at majors, Patrick Reed, w-
Yes.
80 to 1, right?
Yep.
Patrick Reed, third at the Masters. I think I had a max play on him, top 40, which was like almost even money. Quail Hollow, he's got sixth, 28th, eighth, second at the 2017 PGA, right behind JT. So I mean, this Patrick Reed is one of those. He's like Bryson, right? He's playing to win. He's not playing for the paycheck at this point, right? He's playing for the, for the legacy, right?
Yep.
And Patrick Reed loves to silence his haters,
Hmm.
more than anyone. Um, Headed to a course much like Augusta that he knows very well, and he's played many, many times, and he's had a great success here. So I like Patrick Reed, 80 to 1, even 90 to 1 at DraftKings to win this. And he might not win it, but he's a top 20 machine. So
Yep.
Patrick Reed's a guy that I'll definitely be taking this week in probably all forms.
Yes.
So
I've been
So
Patrick Reed in.
Rob, I have a question on
Yeah.
that note. So if I did my math correctly, I think we have what, like 15 live guys, give or
something
take.
like that. Yeah.
So the top of the live golfer, so a prop that you have this week is Bryson at plus 195 to be the top live guy this week. There's one, two, three, four, five guys in front of Reed, and you can get on Hard Rock Patrick Reed top live at
Plus
plus
1200.
1200. Do you like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, because I mean, look, Bryson, I'm not going to bet Bryson at plus 190, right?
Yeah.
And John Rahm, course history here, not good. So plus 360, no thank you.
Mhm.
Joaquin Neiman, look, Joaquin Neiman, nice kid, does well on live.
Yeah.
I mean, Phil Mickelson said he's the best golfer in the world, but at majors, he just doesn't show it, right? Like in majors, he just disappears. Sarah Hatton, look, he can play well. He's done well here before. Brooks, obviously, major multiple time PGA champion, but his game is not in a good place right now. Patrick Reed, 12 to 1. I'll take that all day. So,
Yep.
especially like Patrick Reed having longer odds than Tyrrell Hatton. I
Yep.
mean, come on, give me a break, right? So I'll take plus 1200 top live golfer all day. And then if I have to at the end, I can hedge it, with Bryson. So
Yeah.
Yep.
um, definitely, but 12 to 1 is definitely enticing. I mean, especially when you say DJ's at 16 to 1. I mean, who's in better form right there, right? So, Patrick Reed 12 to 1 all day.
There's only one course where Patrick Reed plays better, and that's at Port Royal. And he's fifth in strokes gained at Quail Hollow, but the correlation between his success here versus other courses is insane. I'm gonna be him on the placement market. I was gonna bet him outright. I gotta find a better number. I was only getting 70s, but I may find some 80s out there still. Really good guy in terms of going out there and proving his stuff in majors. That's what you want, right? When I look through the field, I always do this and I make these short lists. I literally eliminate guys.
Mhm.
Like this guy's not winning a major, like not in my lifetime. That just eliminates about 50% of the field. Patrick Reed's one of those guys that you have to up there. I have to talk about a former champion. I have to ask you guys' opinion, and I'll start with you, Rob. What are you doing with Brooks, if anything, this week?
So Brooks, I'm gonna bet a homer bet on 55 to 1, just so I can text his dad on Sunday and be like, "Hey, I got, Brooks in the final pairing, got him 55-1. Let's go, right? Like that's
Yeah. Heck yeah.
other than that, he's not playing. Obviously, he's not playing, great right now. But also, I don't know how much that has to do with like how much does he want to play well right now. Like I said, these live events, they're just for money basically at the end of the day, right? They're not like prestigious. Like it's just for money at this point, right? And Brooks has all the money he needs. But I think he might be a little driven coming off that. He missed the cut at the Masters when I think he made a nine on the 18th hole on Friday to
Yep.
miss the cut, which he was well inside the cut line. Then he
Well
goes for
inside it.
a nine on the 18th hole to miss the cut. I think maybe he's a little angry about what happened there. That he lost focus and missed it, but um, it's tough to like. He's not really in form right now, but like we've seen him not in form before, right? Like, actually, I think his last major where he won the PGA, like he won Live Orlando like the week before, right?
Yep.
So he's been in good form coming into these this week. He's not necessarily in great form. So, I mean, like I said, I'll bet him for like a homer bet, but this field is stacked, and it's tough to see him winning, especially if he's not accurate off the
Yeah.
tee with his irons. It could be tough, but you'll know early. The thing with Brooks is you'll know early. You'll know within the first 9 holes if he's going to be a contender
Yep.
for the week, right? Like he comes out hot when he plays well here, first round leader, right? So I mean, I'll definitely probably take him for first round leader for like a quarter of a unit just for rooting interest. But with this field, it's going to be tough to see him, beating a lot of those guys.
Golf loves storylines and loves history. And you'd be surprised at sometimes how romantic golf can be. So I mean, those who know, the most majors in the last 15 years, you have Brooks at 5, and then you have Rory who just got to 5. And they just tied. So wouldn't it be romantic that they're only tied for a month, or and then Brooks gets his 6th and goes one ahead of Rory yet again. It just makes sense. But also too, Brooks Koepka loves to play golf with a chip on his shoulder. He
Yes.
knows what his odds are. He knows he's going in there, no one's giving him a chance, and that's just the fuel. He's the type of guy where he just shows up and it doesn't matter what you did prior, right? He gets his game face on. He knows what he needs to do. He knows that half the field has absolutely no chance. He knows he probably has to beat 15, 20 golfers, and that's it. But also, too, when the Cats make it all the way to the Stanley Cup, how can we sit next to him and say, hey, we didn't bet on you when you won the PGA? So for me, I'm going to be on him as well, just because of the history. And he's won 2 PGAs, prior. So definitely got to be a little bit on Brooks for sure.
And that's definitely like one of the most fun moments of my life was when he won the PGA 2 years ago, and I was with the next day. We were in the
Oh
Panthers suite
yeah.
with the Wanamaker trophy with Brady Kachuk drinking out of the trophy.
That's sick.
So that was one of the highlights of like the last couple of years for me. Like it's
Yeah.
'cause we bet him to win that year, and we celebrated the next day. So I mean, you can't beat that. But
Yeah.
like you
Very
said,
cool.
golf is romantic, so we'll see. I mean, who knows? Rory could take the lead over him this week. So
Yep.
um, obviously, I'd favor that a little more due to current form. But it's going to be an interesting. He's definitely capable. It's just like it's his game there right now. We'll
Yep.
see.
Let's get over to the long shots. The guys, anybody over 90 and above. I'm just gonna highlight one golfer because he just continuously finds himself playing really well in round one and cashing tickets. I'm gonna look a little bit at Keith Mitchell. I haven't decided how I'm gonna play him. He's 125-1. He has really good course history here. And then when you go and you look at his dispersion chart and his strokes gain breakdown and stuff like that, the guy is dynamite off the tee long enough where his misses are going to be past the trouble and then accurate enough to really cause some danger. And then you look at approach, his approach play is phenomenal. Not a great putter on Poe Travalis, but I don't care, right? Like the guys had been at 68 or lower in what now 8 consecutive first rounds. If you're always continuously putting yourself in good starting positions, eventually it's gonna click. Will he be the guy to win PGA Championship? Don't think so, right? But when I look at the 125 range, I'm taking him every day over Sam Burns. I'm taking him every day over Will Zalatoris, who's at this point is all hype and all name.
Yep.
Um, taking him over JJ Spawn. I just think if we're just looking at price comparison, he's the guy who I'm really interested. I have another guy we're going to talk about a little bit, but really interested in at least considering. Any thoughts on Keith Mitchell?
I'm not fading him. I mean, look, for the first round, he's not going to win a tournament, but can he
Yeah, he'll
lead
win
the
the
first?
first round.
Can he lead the first round? Of course. That's kind of like how I feel about Justin Rose, right? Like Justin Rose, 110 to 1 at Bet Online to win it. Can he win it? I don't know if he has the durability to win it. Like, but I mean, we saw he did at the Masters, right? Like he didn't lose the Masters in the playoff. Like Rory just beat him, right?
Yep.
Uh, Justin Rose, he has a great course history here. Finished third here in 2019. I think his confidence is at an all-time high because he knows he can play with Rory, right? And he knows he's right up there with these guys. So Justin Rose, 110 to 1 to win it. Probably take a bite of that. And another Wyndham Clark, right? He won here in 2023.
Yep.
He's not playing very good right now, but his game is getting a little better than it was like last year. It's still a little tough to support him. And then another guy who's wild, right? These are the wild odds, like 200 to 1 to win. Max Homa, right? Like his game is getting a little better. He finished top 15 at the Masters,
Yep.
and he's starting to improve a little bit. Like last week, he was playing great until the final round. He kind of fell apart on the back nines a little bit. But Max Homa is playing better than he was, right? Like to start the season, he was playing golf like me, right? And now he's kind of like more like a professional, right? Max Homa, two-time champion here, like 2019,
Yep.
2022, right? Like, so how many other two-time champions at this course are in the field, right? Not very many. So I think 200 to 1 for Max Homa is just insane. I think. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to win it, but 200
Yeah.
to 1, that's like totally disrespectful, right? How
With
does how does he have the same odds to win it as like David Puig, right?
yeah.
Give me a break. So
Yeah.
I'll definitely take a bite of that.
It's
Yeah,
funny about Max Homa.
Rob stole my thunder. I was going to go on Homa. This, we don't talk about this before, but that makes me feel that much better. Totally agree. He's got his first career win here when no one knew who Max Homa
Yep.
was. Right? He's gone through a lot this year. Caddy change, club change, hadn't made a cut in forever. And then what does he do? He shows up at the Masters. I bet him to miss the cut, which I thought was an absolute lock. He makes his first cut since July 18th of last year. And since then, he just needed me to bet against him to make the cut. And so I'll take full credit. His game's improved since then. But yeah, he's played really well. Last week, every round under par. He's progressing the right direction. And those are just really high odds for a guy that has won there twice before. Coming in there at the end of the day, there's no pressure on him. No one expects anything. Max Homa doesn't show up in majors, blah, blah, blah. We know the narrative. So it would be a pretty cool way for him to say, hey, I'm back. It's happened before.
What's cool about Homa, and this is what kind of happens with everyone, right? Doesn't matter if you're a professional or you're an amateur. You get new irons to be at the level you were before. You go through this little honeymoon period, and then they suck. And Homa said that everything in his game right now feels great except approach play. And you could see it like when he had those holes where his approach play was at least decent. He's like draining 15, 20-foot putts because he has the confidence everywhere else. Now it's just put it together at a course where he's won multiple times. 201's a big price. Let's talk about another guy who's on my short list. I haven't quite got there yet, but Mr. Ricky Fowler. I think his price is 170 to 1. I'll let you take the floor first, Chris.
Yeah, Ricky looked solid last week. I was surprised to see him. I actually bet against him in his first round, his 3-ball. So followed him pretty closely. Looked really great. Beat Novak by 3 that day. I had Novak first round. But yeah, no, if you look at the course history of Wells Fargo in general, the lowest score to par is Rory by a million.
Yeah.
But second on that list is Ricky Fowler at minus 55. I mean, the boy knows how to play here. Played well last week. Is he going to win? Probably not. Will he ever win a major? Probably not. But for me, Brad, where I think I'm going to go on him is first round because he tends to go low at majors in first rounds.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, him and Xander, they both shot what was it 62s at the U.S. Open. Faded away on the weekend and stuff. But Ricky's one of those guys where if he seems to have the flat stick going pretty good these days. Strokes game putting was really strong last week. At the end of the day, if he hits some fairways, hits some greens, makes some putts, I think he has potential to go low. And at 100 to 1, after doing it almost last week, I'll take a little flyer on that.
Yeah, listen, with Ricky Fowler, while he's not, like, crazy long off the tee, I think he's long enough, but what's really enticing is we talked about how many approach shots they're gonna be from 200 to 225 yards out, 16th best in the PGA, which is insane just to think about a guy like Ricky Fowler, who especially has been struggling on approach. That's probably the only thing keeping me off him, but I thought his number was at least attractive. First round's a good market to look at. Are there any other long shots that you guys wanna kind of highlight or bring up before we move over?
I won't get
Y-
into it too much or provide too much detail, but we've talked about this already, right? Length off the tee. Those are, the superior players in that range. A guy who likes to go low, but tends to play well the bigger the tournament. I think Jake Knapp is a bit of a sneaky play. He's like plus what, plus
3
200, I think it's 250 to 1,
Yeah,
maybe.
300 to 1. Yeah, Jake
If
Knapp
it,
is
if it was like 66 holes or
Yeah.
yeah,
something, like that'd be
Jake
better.
Knapp's on my card, and I wasn't gonna talk about him because I was gonna give him in the Discord. That's funny. I just felt like Jake Knapp, you're gonna bet him first round leader and then hope
Yeah.
he can carry that success around at 300 to 1. You put 0.1 unit on it, and you're like, you don't care if that thing loses, but
Yeah.
at least gonna get you excited.
Yep. Won't say
That's
anything
funny.
else on that.
Let's move over to the prop section, and I'll kick things off with we're only gonna do one, and I don't normally bet the nationality props, but I was actually going to see. So I was going in this market and I was just doing mathematics and I was like looking at, I didn't even look at the Japanese lines at this time. I'm like looking at top Spaniard, top South American, which I'm South African, which I think Jocko's a good price. And I'm just doing math to see like the closest correlation to finding extreme value. I didn't even care if it was like minus 200, minus 250. I just want to see if mathematically it made sense. And then I was like, I just opened a new tab and I was like, I'm just gonna open every single group, right? And I'm just gonna look at every single one with a magnifying glass. I get to this and I'm like, am I missing something for top Japanese player with Hideki Matsuyama minus 150? The competition, I think his biggest competition has to be Ryo Hatsune at plus 400. But you think Ryo Hatsune, excuse me, is going to be there competing 4 rounds at a beast course like this? I don't think so. I just thought this should probably be close. I put my price on this minus 250. Um, Hideki is plus 250 to be top Asian, and that's like a 15-man field. Now you're telling me these guys who are probably going to be priced around 10 to 15 to 1 to even sniff that market are going to be this closely related to him in a market not correlated, not directly, connected, excuse me. No. I went with Hideki Matsuyama. He is Jekyll and Hyde, but at a course that's gonna demand, approach play, demand some long ball play, I'm going with Hideki to win this market at minus 150.
Yeah, I love that. I also appreciate you switching over to my top nationality. That's something, a little trick in my bag. But yeah, no, for sure. Actually, on Hard Rock, he's minus 140.
I
If you want
saw
to
that.
bet
I
those
just couldn't get
things.
enough, actual money down on my Hard Rock to take it there, so
Yeah. No, that's a great bet. Honestly, the other guys they may stick around with for 1 round, but I don't even see those other three making the cut, honestly. And if you saw Matsuyama, this was it yesterday, and
Yep,
the only guy out in the rain just grinding on the putting green
grinding.
with an umbrella over him, he wants it. He wants it bad. He showed some decent form last week in round 3, looked good. Kind of faded on Sunday after a -7 on Saturday. It happens, but major champion, by far the best player, and at minus 140, I would say that's even disrespectful. So that'll be on my card as well.
Yeah, you can never go wrong with Hideki top Japanese. I mean, never.
Yeah.
Unless he's injured, he's usually a shoe in for it. One prop that I'm looking at, top African. It should be South African, to be honest. They call it top African. You're like, I like Eric Van Rooyen plus 350.
Wow.
He's hot. I mean,
DVR.
he's playing well right now. Dean Burmeister, all right. I mean, he's all right. Right, plus 210. He shouldn't be that big of a favorite over Eric Van Rooyen.
Yep.
Bezuidenhout plus 400. Garrett Higo, I don't think he's really ready to be consistent yet. So I like Eric Van Rooyen for a unit plus 350 for top African.
That's a good one. I was looking at, what was I looking at this market? I can't remember. I thought yeah, I was looking at this market because I thought Dean's price was incorrect. I thought if anything, Dean should be plus 250 instead of plus 185, which then I had to kind of do the math of who I wanted after that. I like that. Good bet.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I agree. I like top nationality because I tend to go back and forth between, do I want to bet a guy top 40, top 20, where he has to beat, X amount of players in the field, or do I prefer just that he has to beat 4 or 5 guys? And one that I looked at, we already talked about Sepp Straka, thinking, that's a really great bet at top 20. You can get him top 20 plus 220. So I think that's really good value.
Interesting.
But Rob also mentioned Reed. I think that's another really strong bet. I think that's a guy who's getting a lot of value at 80 to 1. It's probably about the same. But a bit of a sneaky bet this week, just lost in a playoff last week, and tends to start off really well. And he's the type of guy where he's super streaky. He does this every year. He'll play 3 or 4 tournaments extremely well. You think, oh, now's his time. And then he fades away and he's terrible, misses the cut. But for top Canadian, there's 5 guys competing this week, and you can get Mackenzie Hughes as the top Canadian at plus 400. Corey Connors is at plus 150. He gets a lot of respect for a guy that ultimately, honestly, doesn't really do much. And Rob knows this, and Rob hates him, and he's banned. So that makes me like it even more. So if we dismiss Corey Connors, the only person in between that would be Taylor Pendrith, where Taylor Pendrith has never really done anything in majors. He's never really played in that many majors.
Yep.
So I think the resume for Mackenzie Hughes is stronger than that of a Pendrith. And as much as I love Nick Taylor, the game's not there. He's been struggling a lot. And Adam Hadwin we can dismiss him. So I do like Mackenzie Hughes at plus 400, riding that hot hand from last week.
2 golfers in that you mentioned that you can dismiss at hard or courses that aren't gonna be birdie fests, Hadwin and Pendrith. You're just gonna cross those guys out. So now how many golfers were in that? I don't even know. Now you can already eliminate 2 out of there. I didn't play that one. I'm still dipping my toe in the top nationality.
yeah, I got one good bet, one good prop that I like for round one. It's Rory McIlroy to make an eagle plus 500. Last time I played here, 2024, when Rory won the Wells Fargo, he had 3 eagles in 4 rounds.
Wow.
So I like Rory, including he had a first round eagle on the 7th hole. So I like Rory to make an eagle here in round one plus 500.
Wow, Mr. Rory. I was gonna probably take Rory first round top 10. I thought that was a pretty good price. It was around 10 to 14 to 1, depending on which book you have. The only thing is with a big field, the dead heats are dangerous in that market, and no books are giving you full payouts on the first round. Let's move over to first round leader. Um, the pricing here is insane because I think there's guys who just don't stand a chance. But let's go first round. The co-favorites, Rory and Scotty at 14 to 1, Bryson 20 to 1. Like that's an insane price. Rom 30 to 1, JT 33, as well as Xander, Olberg 35, and then we'll round it out with Colin Morikawa. Give me like 1 or 2, Rob, that you like from this market.
Yeah, well, you got to go with Rory, right? I mean, 16 to 1 at
Insane.
DraftKings and Bet Online. Um, so I'll definitely be taking a bite of Rory. And I want to go Bryson, but it's like it's just tough with two out of the top 3 up there on the scoreboard. So I might go with I'm definitely going with Rory. Um, your boy looks enticing, Keith Mitchell 80 to 1.
Yep.
He looks tasty, but if I go with Justin Rose 85 to 1, right?
Nice.
Because when Justin Rose plays well, he comes out hot and he's a big first round golfer. So I think his confidence is all time high. And if I had to just play 2, it's Rory and Justin Rose.
Rory, I just talked about him as like the ladder guy, right? You ladder him top 10, top 20, top 5, top 10, top 5, top first round. because all the prices are good. Rory's the kind of golfer, like, when he plays at somewhere that he likes, he plays really well, really comfortable. I'll give out 2, and I'll go with I'm going with Justin Thomas at 33 to 1. Shop that line around. Um, Justin Thomas, like Rory, is at another place where he's really comfortable. Justin Thomas is going to have one spark round. You can guarantee it every event he
Hmm.
plays. And it's just
Yeah.
up to you determining which spike round it's going to be. I think he starts off really hot this week. And then I'm going Keith Mitchell. The best first round golfer. There's only 3 golfers who are like better this season or in that same conversation. And you just think about like overall game. One of those guys is like Steven Yeager, and like just think about overall like skill set. Keith Mitchell blows the doors off of Steven Yeager. So going with him, good price on him.
Definitely like co-sign Keith Mitchell. I mean, I'm definitely going to take Keith Mitchell also and tell you because I'm not going to sit here on Thursday night and be like, God damn it. And he
He
did it
did it
again, right?
again.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take him for like $100, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss it. I got FOMO now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Keith has to be there. I mean, you got to do it until he misses, honestly. Until he goes and shoots like +7 and you go, okay, I just made a donation. You pretty much have to ride that. I mentioned Ricky already. You get him at like 100 to 1. I think that that's worth a little bit of a sprinkle.
Hmm.
But I do think, and like Brad said, there's some serious value here. And like for our newer bettors who are listening to this, if you really like Rory this week, which you should, there's no reason that you shouldn't. There's a lot of ways to make money on Rory. That's not just bet him at 5 to 1, 4 to 1 to win, right? First round leaders, matchups, top Ireland. There's a lot of different things that you can do.
Yep.
But you can ladder him in different ways. If he wins, if you want to just bet one thing and have entertainment for 4 days, for sure go on that. But for him at first round leader, I mean, you just have to, because I think he should come out of the gates. Selfishly, I'm hoping that he maybe struggles a little bit. And then when the guys that are at the top of the board see their names at the top of the board, they start to struggle. Then Rory goes on his run either Friday or Saturday. I can get him maybe at 9 to 1, 10 to 1, 11 to 1. And then, throw down on that in terms of, actual live bet. But one name that I like, and I love to take morning guys at the PGA. So I'm waiting on those tee times. I don't know if they've come out yet, but give me Thomas Dietrich, first round leader. I like him he's 100 to 1 as well. So I'll be on Keith Mitchell, but give me a little sprinkle on Thomas Dietrich. He
Uh,
he can go low.
One guy that I would add, just because of his course history here, and when he plays well, he's a fast starter also. 2 time, I'm going to take Max Homa 90 to 1 first round leader. Because look, he can still put it together we've
Yep.
seen him this
Yep.
season put together great rounds, right? So what better place to put together a great round in round one than a place where you have this is the most confidence he's going to have at any golf course this season, right?
Yep.
So why not it be Max Homa's time, 90 to 1, get Lululemon sponsorship paid for, and win, a first round leader, 90 to 1. So I'm definitely going to take that 90 to 1.
Perfect.
The target's not that high for Max Homa, right? When your game's like not great, you don't want to go and try to have to compete at a birdie fest because it just requires because if you make 3 pars in a row, 4 pars in a row, you're now thinking to yourself you're -1 or -2 back from the rest of the field here, with probably a winning score that's going to be close to 10, maybe. Um, I like taking shots on guys who have good course history and know they don't need a big target because there's just mentality in majors where you get step on the first tee box and you're thinking of what do I need to go out there and shoot, right? I have no idea what I'm going to realistically shoot in a competitive round here. And it eliminates so many people just with that initial mentality, the comfort. But when you know what your target's going to be, you just go out there and you just gel and you just groove. He's not going to be on my card, but I'll be rooting for him. Max Homa is a guy, especially like if you like his social media or liked
Yeah.
RIP social media of Max Homa, that is easy to root for.
Yeah. I think people will be, people are waiting for Max Homa to be good at golf again.
Yeah. I agree. Well, guys, thank you for another dope episode. Anybody who is listening in podcast form, make sure you download and rate the show. If you're listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and smash the like button. Make sure you follow the homies on social media, which will be posted on the page. Take care.